What's going on, y'all? It's Devin again. Um, it's like 7:30 right now when I'm making this video. Probably upload it later. Um, just had time to talk before work. About to leave in a little bit, just but I got a little bit of time to talk. So today I wanted to talk about how being competitive, how it has kind of like shaped my life, and the pros and cons of it. So, in the last episode, I talked about how I wanted to be so perfect at the game of basketball. And I did not realize how negatively the aspect of perfection was ruining my life to an extent. And, you know, I went to therapy yesterday and I was just like writing down like some negative aspects about myself and how it is affecting my life. The parents, just how it carried over and all that stuff and perfection. Um, so now that I went through that phase of therapy yesterday, it did kind of hurt a little bit because I was just bringing up the negative aspects about myself that I already knew unconsciously and consciously, but I felt like, when it was presented to me, it was just like, damn, maybe I am fucked up. Maybe I'm not okay, but I'm working actively towards unlearning those bad habits about myself and person. You know, Perfection was on the list and I realized that early that I was carrying perfection, even though nobody's perfect. Me, the art of perfection, it was just so hard to let go because, I don't like really messing up and I really don't like rebuilding. So, yeah, I don't like rebuilding because of the process it takes. It can be a long process because it's just like, bro, I messed up. Now I got to start over. And for me, it's just starting over is kind of hard because I endured so much change in my life, like through moving and changing cities, having to change my lifestyle, especially now, like going from living with someone to living by myself is another change. But honestly, this rebuilding process actually feels a lot better because I'm able to sit with myself and talk to myself and sit alone with my own thoughts and understand myself better. You know, because I feel like when you living with somebody in a relationship with someone and you just keep pouring into them. You don't really take the time for yourself, and it's not her fault. Like I'm not blaming nothing on her. So that's just how I was viewing it, and now that I'm able to sit by myself, sit with my thoughts, and even go to therapy, I start to understand a lot of things about myself that I did not consciously understand. Like unconsciously, it was there, but consciously now it's being brought to my eyes and my attention. I'm able to understand why I act the way I act or why I do the things I do. So yeah, perfection was on the list. Um, and I feel like, you know, the perfection part of myself comes from being overly competitive. So I grew up playing a lot of sports. I played like so many sports growing up. In my family, they used to think that I was going to be like a Bo Jackson in my family, which is hilarious. But basketball was my main sport. Then I played football, baseball, soccer, and ran track, and I wrestled a little bit. So it was just the sports, playing the sports. I just wanted to win every time, even though I knew that it wasn't possible. And even when it came to basketball, outside of just winning and working on my skills, I wanted to make every shot because I was so competitive. I wanted to be better than everybody that I was going up against or whatever team I was going up against. So I was just consciously putting in the effort to work on my skills. And, I talked about how I talked bad to myself about, when I make moves or something, or I miss a jump shot, I miss a free throw. And I also did not go into the aspect of the positive self talk that I was doing as well. It's just like, when I did perfect the move or perfect my craft or whatever, and I'm just like, all right, this is how it is, it's getting good. And I did not realize how the self talk from the positive perspective actually helped because I was just so internally pessimistic. And it carried on throughout my life. Holy voice crack. It carried on throughout my life, outside of sports, just wanting to be perfect. It came to, especially when it came to school. I've pretty much been an honor roll student all my life, except for my first, no, my second year of college. But that's when I ain't gonna lie, I just started to give up on life anyway. So I was like, bro, just get me through the semester. Like I don't care if I barely make it through, but from the first semester and on to the past, from when I started school, like I pretty much had A's and B's all throughout. So once I started to get in that headspace from a young age, it was like A's and B's is where it's at. Like you need good grades to kind of like get to where you want. And whenever, even when I would get B's, it was kind of like, bro, like you definitely could be better. Um, my mom also kind of like pushed that on me to an extent. So I'm not gonna blame her or anything like that, but she did kind of play a part in my competitive nature. Especially when I come home with a midterm and I have like a C or something, she'd be like, "Boy, I know I ain't raised you like this. You got to be better." So she kind of played a part in it, and I'm not mad at her for it because I understand that she wanted me to be great. But I also, with that mentality, I just felt like I've always had to prove a point. And now that I'm older, I understand that I don't need to prove anything to anybody because I've done a lot for myself. But yeah, that competitive nature in me is just hard to like to an extent control because it's just like I want to be so great, forget good. I want to be great, you know what I'm saying? I want to be the best at what I do, whether it's just school, work, or if we just playing a board game, like I want to win every time. Like and it's sometimes that competitive nature is hard for me to let go, especially when things aren't as serious as they should be. For example, like right now, I'm in a flag football league with some of my friends and some people I knew from high school, and you know, the last two games we we the last game we got smacked for sure. But the game before that we lost, even though we were like the game was back and forth and we were in it the whole time. Um, so I'm not gonna lie, like after those two back to back losses, I would go home and I'd just be like, bro, we really fucking lost. And it would take over me for a little bit, even though like it's just a flag football league. It's not really that serious, but it's just like I hate losing so much. I'm just like, bro, I know we could have beat these dudes. Like they weren't even that good. You know what I'm saying? That's just how I felt. But we lost, so obviously we weren't that good either. But it's just the mentality I have. Is just, I feel like whoever I'm going up against or whatever I'm going up against in my life, I feel like I can definitely defeat it. And it's just the simple fact that I hate losing. I just don't like to lose. I don't like the way it makes me feel. I don't like the way it has me thinking. It's just like the rumination of the loss. It's just like, bro, what more could I have done to make this a W? You know what I'm saying? Whether it's just from a team aspect or just a personal life aspect. And, that's kind of how I view life, especially when I dropped out of college. I was like, bro, I dropped out of college the first time. I lost. Like, how do I rebound from this? Like, how do I, carry it over to try to turn this into something good? And I kind of like it took a while for me to start thinking like that. Uh, like it was, I think it was my junior year of high school or my senior year of high school. I think I was playing travel basketball, and my coach, like, I had got a turnover, and he pulled me to the side, and he was like, "Devin, like, you're so good at the sport of basketball, but it's just one thing I've noticed about coaching you." And I was just like, "What?" Like, this is literally mid game. He was just like, "I noticed that every time you make a mistake, whether it's a turnover or it's a bad pass or you miss a shot or whatever, you clap your hands, you sit in the mistake that you made for way longer than you need to, and then you snap back into the game. But by the time you snap back into the game, it might be a little bit too late. And I'm just like, damn, you really knows it about me? He was like, yes, I see it all the time, but you're so good at basketball that, even when you snap back into it, you're able to just keep the momentum of everything going. But it'd be a lot better if you just like, all right, I made this bad play. It's time to get it back on the next play. And it it I kind of started to make that change in one of the either that same tournament or was the next tournament. I'll never forget it. Like I came down the court. I think we were down by two, I think, or one or something, and the other team had missed, and I came down, and it was like maybe 50 seconds left in the game. But in high school where I live at, is no shot clock, but I play like it is a shot clock because it's just like I feel like that's the best way to play basketball because then it forces you to like keep going, making decisions quick, 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 quick instead of just running out the time. Like I feel like it's stupid, even though it is a useful tactic. But coach only wanted one shot. We was passing the ball around. I had an open three. I took that shit. You know what I'm saying? Was it a dumb shot? It was an open three for sure, but it was in the context of it. It was a dumb shot because it's like we could have ran the clock out just to get one shot. You know what I'm saying? But the three was open. I shot the three with like maybe like 35 seconds left or whatever, and I missed it right. And I was like, all right. Everybody was throwing their hands up too, and I was just like, hey, I was open. I took it, and then I missed the shot. They came down, and the other team was working the ball around, but I ended up getting a steal and getting the fast break, and one layup to put us back up by two. And then they came down and we stopped them on defense, and then we won the game to go to the next round of the tournament. So it was like after that set in, it was just like, damn, maybe I just need to start turning everything into next play mode. And just from that moment alone, I was just like, damn, maybe I should not dwell on my mistakes too hard. But it just stems from being overly competitive and just wanting to win and just not wanting to fuck up. Um, because I hate losing, I hate rebuilding, and I hate starting over. But sometimes losing, quote unquote, because for me it's just like the mentality I have. I don't ever think I lose, and even if we play in a game and there's a time limit on it, or we play in a game and you might have gotten better at me at this portion of it, but when the next round comes, I win and I keep winning. It's just like, okay, you may have bested me in this round, but then on out throughout the whole series, everything, I still won. I still beat you. So like you may have got me this round, but you're not gonna get me no more, you know what I'm saying? And I don't like to view myself as a loser. I always have the mentality that I'm gonna win whatever I do and whenever I do it and how I do it, I'm always gonna win. Cause who wants to have the mentality of being a loser? And that mentality I realize of being a loser, quote unquote, it keeps you in a victim mindset as well. And like I went through a lot in my life. I know people have went through similar things that I went through, but probably worse. Scoot back a little bit. But yeah, probably worse. And the thing that shaped me to progress and grow and be better was just like, even though the situation is bad now, it's only going to get better once you take the steps to make it better instead of dwelling in it. So, my mindset has shifted from basically pessimistic to optimistic. And with that, the competitive edge I have, it helped me become a better person. So, you know, I've learned about being competitive just from playing sports, obviously, but learning how it carries over into life and how to manage it and maneuver it was hard for me. But once I kind of started to understand it, it became a big positive. And, competing against people is one thing. And for me, that's just like the 3D aspect of life. But once you get into changing dimensions from 4 to 5D, things that people can't see, the things that people can't really necessarily feel, the competition is more so me versus me. It's not me versus the world. It's not me versus another person. It's not me versus the society. It's more so me versus me. And how am I going to how am I going to ascend to be better than me, whether it's 2 years ago, 3 years ago, a month ago, hell, even yesterday, hell, a few seconds ago. Like, that's just my thought process. How am I going to be better than myself from the past? And, you know, it's kind of a theory that well, not theory, more so like something I've seen play out in real time when a lot of players in the NBA, um, and a lot of people in the world view Michael Jordan as the greatest basketball player because he went 6-0 in the finals and he achieved a whole bunch of accolades. And I understand how perfect his basketball legacy was in the NBA. And a lot of players that playing in the NBA, especially like the superstar players, are just like, yo, I'm chasing the ghost in Chicago. Um, so it's just the thrill of wanting to be great and greater than someone who you view as the greatest or greater than you. So, but that's just the 3D aspect of being competitive and wanting to be better and having a growth mindset. So that's what I really learned about being competitive. And like I said, once I let go of competing in the 3D world and started competing with myself, which I would say fourth dimension world, life started to become a lot better. Um, and I feel like it's a lot easier for me to like get over things too because of that. Because it's just like, okay, this happened. It happened in the past. I made my mistakes. I'm gonna view them and internalize them. Hell, even write them down. Like yesterday in therapy, like that it did. Yeah, therapy hurt yesterday for sure, but I just needed it to see what is the bad aspects so I can improve on them and be better. But same thing with competition. Um, like I said, with people, but also with yourself. Like, what are you gonna do to be better? What did you learn from? Hell, what did you even learn from your wins? You know what I'm saying? Because I think people, when everything is positive, they don't focus on like what they could do to keep that momentum going, but also what they can do to make that win bigger and better for the next stage or competition, whatever it is. But like when you lose, it's a lot easier to look at it because just in life, people focus on negativity a lot more than positivity and what they can learn from positivity. So that's another aspect I learned about being competitive too. It's just like, yeah, I did this good, I did this great, but what can I do and what did I learn from this greatness to be greater than this greatness that I exemplified today? You know what I'm saying? And that's just what I learned about being competitive and what I learned from playing sports. But like I said, losing is hard for me to take because it's just like, dog, like I want to win so bad, no matter what it is. Um, but the competition that I have, the competitive drive that I have, has nothing to do with people in the physical world. For me, it's more so what can I do to be better to help not just myself win, but if I'm competing with a team or just with a group of people, how could I better myself to help them win too? So, like I said, it is hard just losing, and I just can't really stand losing. That's all. It's painful because, like I just said, I just want to win so bad, but and when I do lose, like the way I carry myself, it is kind of terrible because I will like sit there and I'll just shut up, and I'll have this stern face, and I have people worried about me and asking me if I'm okay, and I just be like, yeah, I'm straight. I'm just figuring out how to build from this loss. You know what I'm saying? And I understand how my mood can affect people and how it can scare them and all that stuff, but I promise it's never them. And I'm not going to take my anger out on somebody that doesn't deserve it. But because like that's terribly wrong. Like, work on yourself. You know what I'm saying? What is your problem? What is the problem you facing? Put it out to yourself and fix it and work on it. So yeah, when I'm in a competitive mode and I've lost, it's hard for me to get over. But I eventually like, all right, calm down and just come to my senses and just be like, all right, it's all right, even though it's not all right, but it's all right. Just the next time you got to show up for this competition or this moment or whatever, just prepare yourself and just having that mindset of just like, all right, next play or just next moment, it helps control the bitterness and anger of losing because of my competitive drive and competitive spirit. Just like I said, I just don't like losing. That's just really what it is. But not every loss is bad, but also not every win is good. So just learning from both and understanding how to carry it on into life is what makes everything right. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, that's just what I learned about being overly competitive, not just from sports, but just from life. But like I said, competing, I don't really compete with others. It's more so competing with myself and how I got to be better for, like I said, the next competition or the next moment. Because at the end of the day, I want to be great. I'm not being great for nobody but myself. And I'm always constantly working on improving myself. And just with this lesson that I'm learning, but also what I'm talking about, I want to be able to spread it to the people watching this so they can understand as well. Because I know a lot of people who are just like me that struggle with losing and even winning, like how to take wins. You know what I'm saying? So it's also for the people who are competing and want to be competitive, how to internalize it and work on it. Because I didn't really have anyone to really guide me as much except for my mom. But as a growing man, it's kind of hard for her to navigate, even though she grew up around a lot of men. But at the end of the day, me being a man and growing into one fully, I understand that I gotta sometimes seek it out, but also learn by participant observation. That's what I learned in school. So, just seeking out knowledge is key too. So, like, I kind of went off on a tangent right there, but I just feel like if it fit into being competitive. So, I just felt like I had to talk about it. But, I'm just working on myself every day constantly to be better. Um, because, like I said, I just don't like losing, but I want this to also help other people who may struggle with this, but also are in the process of going through this as well. So that's it, man. It's your boy Dev signing out. Peace.